UFC Fight Night Vegas 92, Barboza versus Murphy just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main events, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Vannessa Demopulous versus Emily Ducote. I might make an entire video. If you don't know, I've just gone back and watched the fights that I missed, because I missed the first few fights because I didn't know if I wanted to watch Fury Usyk or this, and I hesitated. I fumbled, okay? But I was paying some attention. I went back and watched the last two rounds. Emily Ducote clearly and visibly outstruck Vannessa Demopulous in the last two rounds of this fight. She won the fight. She wasn't taken down. Vannessa Demopulous failed takedowns, and Emily Ducote landed the better shots, the cleaner shots in rounds 2 and 3, and they've just given the fight to Vannessa Demopulous. I said that Emily Ducote would win this fight by a decision based on her volume as the fight goes on. That's exactly what she did. But yet again, a dead-on prediction from myself has been taken. Vannessa Demopulous, outside of one performance where she was dropped and got an armbar immediately afterwards on Silvana Gomez-Juarez, is still yet to win a UFC fight as far as I'm concerned. Shit fight to start off the card, but I was watching back round 2 and 3 with 2 times speed, and I was noticing Ducote outstriking her very clearly in those 2 rounds. So she's sucking someone's dick, and it's the right person's dick, because how else can you explain this career? Again, I might make a whole video on it. Who knows? Heili Alateng versus Kleydson Rodrigues. I went with Heili Alateng, and I said that his takedowns would be the difference in this fight. A lot of people didn't know that about Heili Alateng, but I did a lot of research for this fight, and I knew that he had the ability to get takedowns. Like, he's improved his grappling ability massively, and Kleydson Rodrigues has been held down by flyweights, and if you get held down at flyweight, you're bad. If you stay held down by flyweights, you're even worse, and if you're getting that done at flyweight, it's going to happen at bantamweight as well. So, to be honest with you, on a technical standpoint, we could start going, actually, Rodrigues landed more on the feet. But Heili Alateng was staying busy with those punches that he was doing. And I know you can say, oh, you didn't use that for this fight. But, you know, Ducote was doing the same thing. So it's not like anything like that was going on. But, yeah, Heili Alateng was just staying busy. And it was too much control time. It was like it wasn't like he gets a takedown, stays there for 30 seconds at the end of a round or a minute at the end of a round. He would get a takedown like a minute into the round and just stay on top for the entirety of it. So I think in round 2, he got it with about 2 minutes left. And in round 3, he gets another one. It wasn't good for Kleydson Rodrigues. Great job by Heili Alateng. The takedowns are just too much. Way too much. We move on. Piera Rodrigues versus Ariane Carnelossi. Let's just call it what it was. Again with my prediction. Never against my prediction does bullshit ever happen. Never for my prediction, sorry. Does bullshit ever happen. Only against my predictions. Another one this year. I'm going to go back and tally them up. There will be 100 fights where some bullshit has happened against my pick. Piera Rodrigues picked her to win, said she would out-grapple Ariane Carnelossi, find the takedown, and use it to control the rest of the round once she got it. It's exactly what she did in round 1. And then in round 2, she, what even was it? Oh, yeah. She was on top of Ariane Carnelossi. And she, like, headbutted her. It was a headbutt, to be fair. She did it, and then the ref was like, watch your heads. And then she literally just did it again afterwards. So, again, dumb, wanted to lose. Yes, it could have been subconscious. She was just sort of trying to jolt and get herself out of a position or remove wrist control or something, and therefore her head sort of crashed into Ariane Carnelossi. It was a headbutt. What I am going to say is this as well. If this was a man, and honestly, it's kind of a weird fighter to say that about, because who knows? Look at those shoulders. Either way, if this was a man, she would be getting slandered out of the arena for quitting that fight, because that was not even a big shot that she got hit with. It was the forehead to the cheek of her as well. It wasn't in the eye or on the nose or right on the jaw. It was literally on the soft part of her cheek. Fair play, it could affect the teeth in the upper row. Who knows? She absolutely bitched out of that fight as soon as she had a reason to. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah. Ariane Carnelossi wins. That is pathetic, but there you go. Abbas Magomedov versus Warlley Alves. I picked Abbas Magomedov to win this fight. I didn't think he'd used a grappling as much as he actually did. I thought he'd actually find a KO here or win this striking. I knew he could grapple, but I didn't think he would do it because Warlley Alves, he's got a really nasty guillotine. He doesn't have much, but he's got a really nasty body kick and he's got a really nasty guillotine. And those are his main moves. And I thought Abbas wouldn't want to be shooting for takedowns in this fight, knowing that the guy's got a nasty guillotine. But he did it in a very effective way. He got back position. He dragged the guy down. He did it based on striking mistakes of Warlley Alves. He wasn't like just diving helplessly for the legs of Warlley Alves. He was doing it like within positions. You know, you get him up against a clinch and then go for an inside trip. It was very not from the open to something. It was let me build something and then get the takedown. It wasn't just let me go from nothing to something and hope I get it, because that's where you do get guillotined. So, good job by Abbas Magomedov. Not the most entertaining fight, but I will be honest, I was impressed in round 2. I thought he could have got a finish maybe if he put together a few more ground and pound shots. I think fighters need to realize sometimes how close a referee is to stopping a fight if a guy doesn't get back up, because the amount of times I've seen a guy throw a couple of shots of ground and pound and then as soon as it's time that maybe a finish could happen, they all of a sudden just stop and start looking for an arm triangle or something is insane. But he got the job done. Great job, Abbas Magomedov. Still didn't look like the guy we expected out of PFL, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think this guy was sourcing beyond belief at the PFL, and now he's not. And I think it would explain the massive drop-off in explosivity since he's made his way to the UFC. So, yeah, maybe not. Maybe, who knows. But I'm going to... Good job, Abbas Magomedov. Warlley Alves shouldn't have been in there. This was a no-brainer. We move on. Up the card, Tamires Vidal versus Melissa Gatto. Another quitter. What do you know as well? Weird coincidence amongst these weird fights that made no fucking sense. Melissa Gatto just chewing up Valdez on the ground. Sorry, not really chewing her up. Shots at range, going back and forth. Then Melissa Gatto would get a takedown and immediately get to dominant position. She got there at the end of round 1. She got there in round 2 as well, where she would be on the back and landing some shots here and there and go for a sub and not quite get it. I remember she escaped a guillotine in round 1 and maybe another round as well. I think it was round 1, where she escaped that guillotine and it wasn't really in. Guillotines don't work. Even at women's MMA, they don't work. So yeah, unlucky for Tamires Vidal, but Melissa Gatto wins the fight dominantly. And the reason why there was controversy here, I should even mention, she punched Tamires Vidal in the boob. And Tamires Vidal, no joke, felt it and just straight up quit the sport. On that moment. Cut her from the sport. She just straight up went, oh, my boob, and then looked away from her opponent. That just shows you how little danger there is in women's MMA. Can you imagine a male fighter doing that? Just completely not looking at the opponent and going, this hurts. She's not even worried that she could get one punch KO'd when she's not looking. That's how non-threatening and dangerous this subsection of the sport is. She can gladly grab her boob and look at the ref and go, what? My boob, though. It kind of hurts. Oh, she's attacking me? Yeah, but my boob, though. She's still swinging combinations at me? Yeah, but ref, like, come on. Like, it just shows how little they can do in terms of damaging each other. I have no idea why she quit to that. So, I don't know. That's a weird one, right? Because it's not a groin. There's nothing there organ-wise. Like, maybe it's sensitive, but I mean, are women going to start aiming for the tits if that's the reaction it causes? Like, you can get kicked in the head. You can get kicked in the ribs. You can get low kicked on the calf. You can get punched straight in the nose. But heaven forbid someone jabs your tit and it's too much. I think maybe Tamires Vidal thought it was illegal, so she tried to play it off. When in reality, it wasn't illegal. That's probably what it was. She probably just thought, this must be illegal. This body part of mine has been sexualized, even though it's not a fucking reproductive organ. So therefore, it's illegal, right? You can't just do that. You know what I mean? What if women start finding men's shoulders? Well, they do find men's shoulders attractive. What if women start finding, men's nips attractive? We can start covering them up in the men's MMA? No, it don't work like that. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Bullshit, really, innit? Shouldn't have been stopped, but they stopped it, and I got a pick correct from it, so I'll take it. She would have won anyway, though. We move on. Oumar Sy versus Ducote. Now, Ducote took this fight on very short notice, stepped in to save the day pretty much. This was supposed to be a different fight against Piccolo, something like that. Oumar Sy did what he does, dude. Great grappler. Can grapple. Have seen it. Evidence of him great grappling. Puts people in positions and dominates them there. Very athletic. Got the takedowns and got the finish. Simple as that, really. Eventually ending it by rear naked choke. Couple kicks from Tokos at range to start the fight. Started the fight very kick heavy, and Oumar Saya was kind of being a bit patient with what he was doing. And eventually just got the clinch, got the takedown, and got the finish. Tokos was not in shape for a fight, looked like a fat fuck. Took it on a week's notice. Not much to tell from Oumar Saya, but he had good grappling, so it's light heavyweight, innit? You got to see some level of talent and think, okay, he's really good. So we'll see what happens to him moving up in his career. Hopefully a full camped opponent. That'd be good. That actually knows what they're in for against him. Victor Martinez versus Tom Nolan. You know what? I picked Tom Nolan by TKO in the first round, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was fucking shitting myself about this pick. I was watching it while Fury Usyk was on. Dude, Tom Nolan's got such a worrying chin, it actually annoys me. And I actually don't think he's going to go on to be anything after this. Again, Victor Martinez is just an old Mexican guy. He's not an MMA fighter. You may see a record of 13-5 and think, this guy's an MMA fighter. No, he's not. He's just an old Mexican guy, a little fat guy. And Tom Nolan is struggling with him. The guy is slow as fuck. The guy's got no reaction time. He's not feinting anything. He's just wandering in with these slow shots on Tom Nolan. And Nolan is messing up his fight for himself at the start. Doing all right here and there at range, but getting a little bit crowded with his work. Constantly, I think he went for that knee as the guy came in once before and it didn't work out. Cracked the guy a few times, and then Victor Martinez cracks him with maybe the lightest right hook I've seen. And Nolan goes stumbling to the canvas immediately afterwards. He didn't look like he was out of it, but it was a knockdown. I can't believe he got knocked down by that. It was one of the lightest looking shots you could ever see. And then eventually put Victor Martinez away with a knee. Martinez started getting aggressive. I've knocked this guy down. I can finish him. And then Nolan puts a knee right into his gut and fucking finishes him off in round 1. So good job, Tom Nolan, for getting a TKO. Still yet to be impressed by this guy. You know, all that height at lightweight for what? Maybe Jalen Turner's been the proof. We don't need... You can't be 6'3" at lightweight, maybe. Who knows, 6'2" at lightweight. Whatever these guys are, I mean, insane. We move on. Up the card, Luana Pinheiro versus Angela Hill. I went with Angela Hill, and Angela Hill got it done in round 2 via guillotine, I think it was, funnily enough. It was actually a guillotine, even though I keep trashing that move. It was a guillotine, and she was doing good before that as well. You know, she was working in the clinch. There was a lot of this fight that took place in the clinch. She was working the clinch very well. She was working knees to the body very well as well from what I was seeing. This was also on during Fury versus Usyk on another part of my screen. But that's what I remember. I remember him clashing, not doing too much of anything at range. And then eventually Angela Hill would get the clinch, be a little bit stronger there, find her knees to the body, and eventually found her takedowns. You know, I mean, that's what the end of the fight was. You know, she reversed position on the takedown of Luana Pinheiro and eventually got her own. And once she got her own, it was a little bit of a different top game that she had. But she did eventually get the guillotine on Luana Pinheiro herself. So once she had that dominance in the grappling exchanges, she felt more confident to be like, I can go for this guillotine and choke this bitch out. You know what I mean? I can risk it. So good job from Angela Hill. She pulled it. She pulled off the guillotine. And yeah, wasn't really much outside of that, but good job to her. We move on. Adrian Yanez versus Vinicius Salvador. Yanez gets the KO. Insanely late stoppage, in my opinion. It could have been stopped. Like, I understand why the referee hesitated, because it looked like sometimes Salvador was coming back too. My reaction to this, I hope it gets clipped and put up somewhere. But Yanez really beat the hell out of him after that knockdown. What I will say is, before the knockdown, what were these guys doing? I swear to God, Dana White must have literally went backstage after Fury Usyk and went, right, Fury Usyk's over. The decision's been called. You're up in a minute. Give us chaos. Because Salvador was throwing like a maniac. And Yanez, for the most part, was also throwing like a maniac. He was twisting into every shot, full force. No subtlety to his work like we're used to seeing from him. He got the KO, and great job to Yanez, and I'm really happy for him because it would have been a sad downfall of a career otherwise. But I'm still not convinced, man. I'm still not convinced. I need to see more. I'd love to see him versus Garbrandt or something like that. I think that would be a good named bounce back for Garbrandt. And someone that he could beat maybe, but also someone Yanez could beat as well with his superior boxing. So, yeah, I'd love to see it. But just a really wild fight from both of them, and not impressive in the way of technique, but a great scrap. We move on. Themba Gorimbo versus Ramiz Brahimaj. I went with Themba Gorimbo to win this fight. I thought he'd be able to outstrike Ramiz Brahimaj and be able to win the grappling where he needed to just by being a bit stronger and more athletic. I didn't expect how good his grappling was defensively. And when I say defensively, people are going to be like, what do you mean? He was the one getting takedowns here. But if you look at the takedowns that he got, they came off of an attempt of Ramiz Brahimaj. They came off of inside trip attempts, outside trip attempts. Him just trying to step through and get like a Polish throw on Themba Gorimbo and trip him over himself. And it was all a hip battle between Ramiz Brahimaj and Themba Gorimbo. And Gorimbo had better control of his hips, man. He had really good hip positioning, really good responses to the momentum of Ramiz Brahimaj, and he always found a way to shut down a takedown attempt of Ramiz before it even began and use it to his own advantage. So Ramiz would go on one leg to go for an inside trip, and then as he would be on one leg for an inside trip, Themba would scoot his hips back and start pushing forward into him, toppling him over and ending up on top position in half guard. So it was really good stuff from Themba Gorimbo, honestly. But very, very boring fight. Do I make a comment about the post-fight speech moment? I mean, I might as well because I did it on the live event anyway. I thought it was a little bit distasteful. I don't mind the... Listen, I think he's a great dude. If he wants to shout out the guy that, you know, the coach that he's working with and you know, shout out the person that passed away, absolutely understandable. There's nothing wrong with him doing that. Just realized how bright I was that entire time, probably. But one thing we've got to realize here is, dude, you're screaming about this dead person over and over again in like a aggressive, angry way, though. It came off angry and aggressive, like he was almost like, of course I didn't have a great performance, but it was because of this dead person. And it was like, ugh, that's ugly. That was ugly to me. Ugh, brother. Ugh. I don't want to go at Themba Gorimbo because he was in the heat at the moment, upset with his performance, but also emotional enough to know that he had to sort of shout out this person that had passed away in the post-fight speech. But it really did come across as really, really, I'll say it, really, really distasteful and out of place. And he kept saying it over and over again. And dare I say the only reason they really let him have mic time is because they knew he wanted to kind of say something about it. And he kind of took that and turned it into 5 minutes of mic time. And I don't like to say things like this because it's a very sensitive subject, but I'm not scared to say things like this. It felt like it became a bit more about himself rather than the person that had passed. You got to say the thing about the person that's passed, make your comment, and then keep it composed. But it just felt like he went on and raged, and then also kind of indicated that that's why he had a bad performance. And don't do that. Don't do that, you know. I felt bad for his coach, but, you know, he was in the heat at the moment. I'm not going to go at him for it. It is what it is. It was just a weird moment where you were like, okay, let's wrap this up now. It's getting a bit weird and aggressive in the way that we're shouting out this poor person that's passed away. We move on. Khaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. I went with Carlston Harris because I've seen Carlston Harris wrestle against Dagestani prospects that have since been undefeated since losing to Carlston Harris and were undefeated before fighting him as well. I've seen this guy out wrestle Dagestanis. I've seen this guy out wrestle very capable grapplers. I thought he was going to out wrestle Khaos Williams, and I thought early on he had enough switched on ability to like land on Khaos to get respect and then shoot his takedowns. What Carlston Harris decided to do, instead of what I thought he was going to do, because again, against Dagestani guys, he's shooting double legs and wet blanketing them. We've seen that on the regional scene. We know he has that ability. Instead, this guy trades right hands, and full respect to Khaos Williams, great post-fight speech, bars, this ain't personal, it's punishment. You know, there's a few lines that he came out with, great stuff, gonna be a name, got handed a win, the only way he could have won, by someone who chose to let him have the only way he could win, which was to trade right hands in the pocket with Khaos Williams, with your left hand by your fucking shin, and your right hand, I don't even know. He was upright. It was a weird angle. I thought this guy would land a few and shoot a fucking takedown because he's done it on Dagestanis. Instead, against Khaos Williams, he decided this was the fight for no takedowns and non-stop trading right hands in the pocket. He wobbled Khaos Williams early. He stumbled him afterwards. He kept catching Chaos Williams. Williams is there to be hit even in his best pocket, in his best mode and realm of fighting. He was there to be hit. Shoot a fucking takedown on this guy whose best chance is a one-punch knockout on the feet. But no. MMA fighter does MMA fighter things. We move on. Edson Barboza versus Lerone Murphy. I went with Edson Barboza. My mistake. I thought Edson Barboza was showing up. It's the end of Edson Barboza. Shout out Lerone Murphy. I was salty in the moment because I was watching one of my favorite fighters of all time, Edson Barboza, retire in front of me. So it does hurt. It really does hurt. I watched a guy retire as soon as the bell sounded, and it's tough. Great job by Lerone Murphy. I'm actually going to choke on... I need some water because there's something in my throat. I don't know what it is. Great job by Lerone Murphy, though. Really good job. Great 1-2s. They were the story of the fight. He also landed some good kicks of his own to the body now and again. Got takedowns when he needed them, when they were there and presented themselves. There you go. When they were there and presented themselves, he found the takedown, did what he needed to do to win. There's nothing against Lerone Murphy here. Great performance and great toughness as well. He got his nose busted in the fight. Leg is dead for him as well. And that's what I want to talk about here. This guy's limping out of the octagon against Edson Barboza, who refused to throw low kicks, refused to throw body. I watched him retire tonight. He ain't the guy he once was. He ain't got it in him anymore. And it's sad. And sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you watch a guy go to war and it's like, you should have seen it coming. He went to war with Yusuf. He's not going to recover from that at his old age. But then they come back and they win and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, never mind. Hindsight's 20/20 with that shit. You never know when a fight is done. But tonight we found out Edson Barboza's done. So I do give credit to Lerone Murphy. Huge win. Biggest win of his career. Another UK prospect at the top. We got a lot of featherweights right now as well. So it's good to see. Another UK guy in the top 15 in the UFC. We're killing it right now. But damn, it was horrible to watch Edson Barboza. Lerone Murphy did better against Barboza than any other opponent ever in his career. And it was because Edson Barboza would have success any time he kicked. And I mean that. Sometimes the low kicks would get checked. I get it. Whenever this man threw a body kick, he landed it so good. And you could see Lerone Murphy didn't like it. He would then abandon them for the rest of the 4 minutes of the round. It was so sad to see. Maybe he was injured going into it. I didn't see left hooks. I didn't see right hooks. I didn't see an uppercut. I saw 1-2s with Lerone Murphy, whose best weapon is a 1-2. And Edson Barboza decided to go out there, throw 2 low kicks around, barely any body kicks until like round fucking 4, and then just go 1-2 for 1-2 with Lerone Murphy, getting out-jabbed and out-2'd the entire fight long. It was so sad to see him actually show that he can't kick anymore. He doesn't have it in him. Something's gone wrong. Eventually the body breaks down. People are going to say cope, but watch the fight, man. I know you say cope because I didn't pick him. But watch the fight, man. Like, it was sad to watch. Great performance by Lerone Murphy. Fun scrap because Barboza stayed in there and took the punishment. Had moments in the fight as well. It looked like he actually... Oh, he slept Murphy in round 1 with an up kick, for fuck's sake. Like, he actually had some moments... in the weird moments of the fight. He slept Murphy with an up kick in round 1. He even hurt him to the body in round 5 with a spinning back kick. But it was like, now we're investing to the body and legs? It's round 4. You fucking idiots. Sorry. I fucking hate seeing it, man. It's round 4 and 5. Now we're low kicking. And you could see Murphy not like the low kick in round 5. And then what would Barboza do? He didn't like that low kick. Back to just backing up in my high guard, doing 1-2s. It was so sad to watch, but I think Barboza should retire. We could have fun. We can make matchups and say, him versus this guy, and it's a fun matchup, and they're a big name. I get that, maybe. But as far as any level of competition, call it quits here. He's not the guy he once was. Great job, Lerone Murphy, though. Again, I know I'm taking everything away from him. But great performance. He fought the guy in front of him. And that's all he can do. And this was a factor going in, knowing that Barboza's an older fighter. I just thought he had another one in him yet. I didn't think Lerone Murphy would do better against Edson Barboza, dominating every single round. when he couldn't really pull ahead against Douglas Silva de Andrade. He couldn't really pull ahead until Kalibao failed takedowns in round 3. He could, you know what I mean? I never expected that. But good job to Lerone Murphy. Great win. Maybe too much damage of him taken to the Manchester card, but now we got a new name at featherweight to pay attention to, so I'd say do him versus... who is there for him to fight? Maybe like him. I know they're probably going to do Evloev. They're probably going to do Emmett versus... do Calvin Kattar. Lerone Murphy, Calvin Kattar. Because I would have matched Barboza with Kattar anyway if he would have won anyway, so... Yeah, let's do Emmett versus Lopez, and then we do Murphy versus Kattar. Kattar's number 10. Murphy probably beats him at this point in Kattar's career. Do that. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.